Right. Hi. I wanted to quickly go over your discussion board for this week because it has a little different format. And so what you see on your screen here is actually a slide from the Chapter 12 PowerPoint that you'll review this week. You also read about in Chapter 12. And I will say of all the content that you go over in Ed Psych and all of it's important and, meaningful to your work in the classroom, I would say personally, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the piece of Ed Psych that even today I use the most in my work as a teacher. And that applied to working with young students, middle school students, high school, and college. So if you haven't heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll learn about it this week. And basically, Maslow theorized that each human being has a set of needs, but they're not all equally weighted. And what he means is that the human needs are placed on this hierarchy where we cannot move up to meet the needs that are at the top of the hierarchy until the needs that are at the bottom of the hierarchy are fulfilled. So long story short, until this level of needs is met, we as humans of all ages cannot move on to the next and so on and so forth. And so when I say this impacts my work as a teacher, you'll all have seen this already with your work with students. If you have a student that comes into your class and they're hungry, they're not having their physiological needs met, then you can't really get them to feel loved and belonged. You can't certainly get them, to learn fractions if they're hungry or they don't feel safe. So your discussion board this week is going to give you a prompt to consider your own hierarchy of needs. And there's kind of two parts to your discussion board. The first is a brainstorming activity that you will turn in as part of your grade, and it will kind of lead you through what you need to write on your discussion board. So let's take a look at it really quickly. So you'll download this file that says Needs Hierarchy Discussion Board Worksheet. And again, you will turn this in. This will be half your points. So the first is you're going to define these two words. You can just use the online dictionary, it's fine. So priority and hierarchy. Number two says brainstorm all the different types of needs you can think of. And for example, food would be an obvious need. We have a need, all of us, for that. Now, your need for food and mine might be different. Maybe you're a vegetarian and I'm definitely not, but we still have that physiological need. I want you to come up with as many different needs as you can and try to go beyond the obvious. And I'm going to show you my example here in a second. And then keep in mind that some of those needs that you might put on your list here might be more appropriate for later in life. So maybe you as a human being have a need to be a parent, but that's not, a need you have right now. It's an anticipated future need. Or maybe you have a need for financial independence, and that's not something that you're going to achieve now, but it's definitely a need you have in the future. And you need to have on your list here at least 12, but I bet once you get going, you'll be able to come up with more. Okay, so you brainstorm a list of at least 12 needs that you have for yourself, either now or in the future. Now, the next thing you're going to do, and this is an activity I do with elementary and middle school students all the time, if we have a list of words or terms, is you're going to create two categories for your list of brainstorm needs. In other words, how could you break that list into two different categories? How could you group them and separate them? You're going to be thoughtful and creative with how you categorize this. And then in the rest of the chart, so here in this first column or in the first row, you're going to name your categories. So just type it right in here. And then you're going to take your lists that you came up here, and you're just going to sort them into those categories. So once you come up with categories, everything else in the list is just sorting them in there. And again, I'll show you an example here in a second. And your list, your columns do not have to be equal. You don't have to have 6 in category 1 and 6 in category 2. So don't worry about the quality of your categories. Okay, so after you've categorized them, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to rank them on a hierarchy. Now, I didn't give you all 7 levels like Maslow. That would be a lot of work. I just gave you 3, and there's no wrong answers here. So what you're going to do is you're going to rank your personal needs, that list of at least 12 things, from most essential to least essential. So what is most important should be on the bottom. It goes here. It's the foundation. So I kind of was suspecting all of us are going to have food down there at the bottom. And then You'll have more than one thing on each level. Now you should be able to type directly in this. If you have any problems typing on the hierarchy, I mean, you could delete this and just put level 1, 2, 3 and list them out. Whatever you do, it'll be fine as long as you label them. Be thoughtful in how you arrange and group them on the period. And then the last part is you're going to use the chart and the graph as your notes, and you're going to write just a really good paragraph to summarize your work. So you could use the words priority and hierarchy there that you defined. You could explain your list, and I've given you some questions there to help you form your paragraph. So what do you need if you had to generalize it? Why? You know, where did those needs come from? Will your needs change? When and why will they change? And which of your needs are not being met and why? And what are you doing now to meet your most essential needs? And how does not having certain needs met impact your daily life? So these are just idea starters. You don't have to answer every question. So just use those as a jumping off point. And then this is the paragraph you're going to post on the discussion board as your post. So you don't even have to have read the chapter or reviewed the PowerPoint before you do this part of your discussion board. This is just all about you. So type your paragraph here and then just copy and paste it into the discussion board. And then you're going to attach this Word document to the discussion board just for me to give it the once over and give you this points in the gradebook. And you'll still reply to one classmate by Sunday. So you're going to get this worksheet and your post done by Wednesday, and then that gives you a few days to read through your others and your other classmates' posts. So I did partial example just to kind of show you how I approach this. So I didn't define priority and hierarchy. You're going to do that. So I spent, I don't know, 5-10 minutes and I brainstormed the different types of needs that I need in my life. You can see how boring my life is by my list. But I have food, water, fresh air, and a big one, coffee. That's, I mean, part of who I am. I don't know if that's good or bad. Put hugs from my kids, alone time, physical activity, game time, books and reading, mom time, meeting with my mom. I need my phone, obviously, and I definitely have a deep need of tacos. It's a problem. Laughing with my husband. I need to make an impact. I need music. I need to feel safe. And then I need safety for my children and my family. All right, so then the next step was to come up with 2 categories. So I have some ideas of how I could sort them. So I could do category 1 as physical needs, and then category 2 as emotional needs. And then I think I could easily sort this, like food is a physical need, my body physically needs it. Believe it or not, I would say coffee is a physical need. I mean, ask anybody that knows me, you don't want to be around me if I haven't had it. But then emotional needs, I would put hugs from kids, alone time, put physical activity under physical needs. Another way I thought about categorizing these are now needs and future needs. And so I could, you know, sort them that way. So those are some ideas of how you could come up with categories if you're stuck. And if you can't come up with other categories, I won't dock you if you steal one of these. All right, and then I went down here and I ranked the needs. Again, the foundation, what do I need to actually survive as being me? And so the one you might think is weird down here is the books and reading. But I mean, that is an important part of my identity. I taught English for 15 years. I taught Comp 101 and 102. I love the written word. And if I don't have access to that, it definitely changes my mindset. And so then I have the next kind of most important things. And then maybe these things up here are things that like I really would like, but they're not quite, you know, a physical or emotional need. But if everything down here is going well, then I have the emotional space to like fulfill the needs up at the top there. Okay, and then I could turn it into a paragraph. I didn't want to kind of lead you astray by giving you an example here, but I think I'll post one on the discussion board in a couple days, and you'll just copy and paste that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I really look forward to seeing your work on this.